Hey Lucas,
Hey,
how's it going?
oh, quite good. Um,
Good.
how about you?
Doing all right. Yeah, it's been
Okay,
kind of a crazy morning so far, but just like mainly just trying to get the kids ready and out the door.
okay.
Uh, the Angular stuff looks cool. I
Oh, that,
haven't done Angular in quite a few years, and looking at that templating stuff again though, it's like, gives me flashbacks. I really didn't enjoy using it, but
yeah, yeah. Same for me actually. I mean, I only had like maybe one or two larger projects with it, and the rest was just like I don't know, trying it out stuff and so. But the good part is that they just have those idiomatic things, and you can just like read what they think is idiomatic. It's a bit different than for React, I guess.
uh,
Um, it's typically many of also like customers and so they are like, hmm, that's weird, like React doesn't have a way to do it. And for Angular they are like, oh, this is how we do it, and there's only the way you do it. That's so different.
Are we talking about how opinionated Angular is compared to React?
yeah.
Exactly. And I had so many of these conversations exactly saying that, like, oh, it's so good to have just one way. And I'm more on the React side, and it always feels a bit weird to be like so happy to have that. I don't know. I'm also not too much of a front-end person, but that's why I
Yeah.
meant like having a demo is the hard part. Just not enjoyable to me. I don't know. It's always
Yeah, there's got to
ugly
be some
and
kind of like actually couldn't doesn't Angular have that like Pokemon store or whatever is like their demo app? It could use that.
this hero thing, right?
Or Hero, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh,
All right. Let me check the notes real quick. We can probably kick it off in just a moment. Are the notes. If you don't mind just adding yourself as a participant. If you have any topics, please feel free to add them and go ahead and get started in just a minute. Okay. Okay. My computer's struggling this morning. Sorry about that. Give me one moment.
Hello.
Hey everyone. Okay. For some reason, there we go. The notes section was missing. All right. Well, just share the notes one more time. If you don't mind, please add yourself. And then if you have any agenda items, please feel free to do that. In the meantime, actually, we'll just have Lucas start off with the Angular stuff. He slammed those things in there first, and it'll be kind of a cool update. And then it gives people a chance to also add any agenda items that they'd like. So I'll just hand it right over to you. Go ahead.
yes. So just I if someone wants to start, it's better for me. I didn't have the time to open it first, but I can. I think I have it. So just like mentioned 2 weeks ago, we started with the Angular SDK and have a first version of it running. Um, this version basically provides like Angular directives for the feature flagging with uh, stuff like automatic updates and so. And we decided that it might make sense to just release it as an experimental version. So I would just like show quickly just that it's working and fly over the code to see how it works in fields. And yeah, then everyone that is interested can have another look. And otherwise, we will just merge it in the next days, I guess, and then see how it continues. Let first people play with it and see if it makes sense and works. So let me quickly open it. So I didn't have time to make the nicest example. So we just have what I had basically for testing it. So you can see that I try to take the whole, like the same demos as Todd had them, but I just put in the one where we see basically everything working. So I had this context change, and you see that once you load it, you can see it's initializing. So we have that initializing state in the app. You can see when it's running, and we can toggle the context value, which in this case takes like 2 seconds to fetch the new value. Then we can render the reconciling value here, and we can see that it's now getting fast, which is basically everything we want to have here. So the API gives us the option to just render something, inject the value into like the value into the template to use it there. I don't have this in the demo here, but I have it in the README, so we can have a look at that one. I can also share that. I didn't prepare too well because I didn't have so much time. But jump in there. So just let me show you some examples on how it can be used. Okay, so in the end, like the easiest way of using it would be something like this here. So you can see you just have a div, you put the Boolean feature flag there, you put the key there, and you give your default value. Just like minimum use, I could imagine.
Could you zoom in just a little bit, please?
Yeah, I can. It doesn't work in the preview.
Okay, that's all right. I guess we can check it out online.
Yeah,
You just must have a nicer monitor than I do.
Not sure. So if maybe here it is better.
Yeah, that
I
looks
don't
good.
know.
Thanks.
Okay, so you can see that this is like the easiest way of using it, as just described. And then we have several more options. So in this case, for example, we have the option to just give a template that is rendered if the Boolean or the feature flag is false. And the same we have for number feature flags, for example, there you can give a value to compare to. And Todd gave like a thought to it, and we said, okay, maybe it makes sense to not always have the else, but sometimes you just want to have the value. So this is also possible. In these cases, we can just inject the value and also the evaluation details into the template here. We can assign that. We can also use it in the else here, and we can have the loading and the reconciling templates that is rendered. And that's basically what we currently have. You can opt out of. I just recognize that this is still missing in the docs. You can opt out of the automatic re-rendering. So basically everything we have in the React SDK, but for Angular with the directives. So if anyone has any like questions or anything to mention, I'm totally happy about that. And otherwise, you can also check it out in GitHub. And otherwise, yeah, I guess maybe tomorrow evening or so we could merge it for the experimental version, get people like a feel for it and see if that makes sense already.
Yeah, I think it's really good. I was really happy with it, especially the injection of the values into the templates, the matching. I think it makes sense. The whole auto rendering with the directive, I think is just a really nice way to go for an SDK. It feels very Angular. And we always like we said, and you mentioned the doc, injecting other abstractions like the client and stuff is also totally possible, which makes sense in Angular. You could, inject inject whatever dependencies you want. So using the client is always an option too, if you want to write your own directives or, you know, deal with that abstraction. But like, yeah, the directive based stuff is pretty cool, I think. If you just kind of want to do the basics. Yeah, I think it's really good. I think people will make use of this, especially more enterprise heavy stuff. Like I said, I know that there's a lot of .NET shops that also happen to use Angular. So I think based on our .NET adoption, this should be good too. I might once this is released and I've had some time to play around with it, I might consider doing a blog post. I don't know if you want to like help me with that, help review it, and we could release it like jointly. It doesn't have to be crazy or anything, just to draw some attention to it after some time.
Yeah, definitely. I think that makes sense. So I can definitely help you. I can also start it off. I don't, all fine to me.
Yeah, I mean, you already did a lot of heavy lifting, so I'll probably write the like some of the blog post and you can just help review it with me or something or participate as much as you want. But that way it'll also function as like a test of my understanding of it too, and kind of like another thorough review process.
Sounds good. Makes sense. Exactly. And like the second topic I have is we've had the Nest SDK for some time now, and nothing really changed. We use it at several customers the way it is, and I don't really know what to do before we go to 1.0, so I'm proposing to do it. And the question is like, would be good if someone that is interested could have another look. I guess I will open up an issue and just propose to merge it, and then we could see or to bump it to 1.0. And if there's nothing coming up or so, I would just do it. So my proposal is to do it.
Yep, sounds good to me.
Yeah, no blockers on my end. I mean, it's really Nest specific, so I think it's okay if we haven't had any complaints and it's already being used at a couple orgs. I think that's fine. And I mean, obviously, we could always do major versions anyway if we decide there's something totally wrong about the API. It would only affect Nest people.
Yeah, perfect. All right. Looks good. Yeah, the Angular stuff is quite interesting. So nice job with that. Appreciate the demo too. All right. Moving on to .NET. So Andre, you have a demo
Hello,
for
hello.
us.
So basically, what? Give me a second. Someone just ring the doorbell. Oops. Never
No
mind.
problem.
Someone rang the doorbell. Just give me a second to see. I'm so sorry about this.
Oh, no problem. We'll skip over you then so you can go
Okay,
answer
just
your
give me a
door and then we'll
second.
come back.
All right.
Okay.
Cheers.
Sounds good. Okay. So I just have a couple quick items. The first one is last community call we talked about like the term that we wanted to use for like a collection or a group of flags. I opened a discussion along with some research on kind of like common terms used by vendors, how they're using it, and then kind of a description of what we wanted to achieve with this term. And it's just going really into our glossary, so it's not like it's anything like it's not a huge deal, but I think it's important to have a term that we can kind of always point back to of what we mean by this. I'd like to get that wrapped up soon. We've gotten a decent amount of feedback so far. So if you have a chance and you haven't voted, take a look. If you have voted, there are a few comments in there now. So just kind of read through that, see if that changes your opinion at all. But I'd like to get that that pushed through as quickly as possible. So yeah, please take a look if you have a moment. The other one is just kind of a couple quick reminders. So we are working on kind of that code gen initiative. A really kind of basic prototype is in place now. And so we're kind of working through that right now. I'm still kind of, I had manually also created kind of what I would expect like a generated output to look like for a couple languages, and we have like the really basic implementation of like a CLI to generate it. So we're working through that right now. If that's something interesting for you, We do have a dedicated Slack channel for it and a dedicated repo, and we're doing weekly meetings every Tuesday. So if you're interested in joining, everyone's welcome. So definitely making pretty good progress. We got a ways to go still, but yeah, if you're interested, jump in, provide feedback, help out. Yeah, love to have you. And then the last one for me is just another quick reminder that we have another project going on with OpenTelemetry. So it's the feature flag semantics. We do meetings every 2 weeks. The next one I believe is Monday. And this one should be quite interesting, hopefully. We've created like a simple demo app based on the proposed semantics. And I am, at least from a Dynatrace perspective, seeing how we could use that data to kind of do interesting queries. So I was going to present kind of the findings of what we can do already versus what we're maybe missing and some gaps. And we're also looking for other, kind of vendors to weigh into to say like, will this work for our use cases or anything that we're missing? Is it possible to provide certain data, things like that? So definitely interested in feedback because we're making pretty good progress there, and we hopefully will have the initial pull request open quite soon. So that also has a dedicated Slack channel. It has changed. So if you're interested, it's the OTEL-FF SemCon channel. Feel free to pop in and we can discuss there. Cool. It looks like Andre's back, so I'm gonna hand it over to him.
Yes, and sorry about that again. So I was, as I was mentioning, basically, this is a thematic that was raised first based on the discussions on a user that asked how and why there is no dependency injection support in OpenFeature, and it started actually from someone that contributed a lot but is no longer contributing. So basically I just grabbed and tried to figure out how it was working. So I have something simple working now, but I'm afraid for example, the multi-provider support and how even you attach hooks, that part I didn't explore well yet, So that's why I'm like, I don't want like these to be like, if we want to release now and then iterate over. I don't want these to be, I would say, a final version, but the suggestion, I think it was Tall or Mike, to be just a beta version of the package, just as a startup. So I'm tired to speak, so let's go to the code itself. So can everyone see my screen? Please say yes. I never used Zoom. Okay.
Yep.
Perfect. So basically, I created a quick web application app, which is using the Flagly provider. And as you can see, it looks already quite different the way that you start and you declared open feature. So basically you have this add open feature, and then inside this is called inside of the builder for the open feature, you then start to add providers. In this case, I needed to create an extension method for the Flagly. So this is another potential change for the providers because they will also need to adopt these semantics so that it's clear for everyone that, okay, this is the way that you operate. We cannot go and do these for all the providers. You know what I mean? And the same for the hooks and so on. So this is just a change in the SDK, but then there is more work needed so that the hooks support this convention. And it's basically based on that change. It's literally just trying to add the service and then specify the correct type. And if you jump back to the program, basically the way then us .NET developers expect this to be called is a simple dependency injection. So it will say, oh, please give me a client, and then I can quickly resolve this Boolean or whatever. It can be get you have access to the SDK API here, so it's easier for the developer to use. So these are the flags defined in Flagly. I didn't went in extensive. I just wanted, to have the connection to a provider and be able to retrieve the data. So if I just go here to my HTTP file and say, for example, I want this to be requested, I got the false operation, which is if I put it here, where is it? The false. If I'm going too fast, please let me know. If I'm going to here, you see, I have access to the client. So I don't know if you can see, because in Teams you cannot see. So you can see that the client is properly instantiated, has all the bits and pieces, the logger and so on. So this is the demo that I wanted to present. I will stop sharing my screen because, again, this is the very basic. It was, again, grandparented PR, so I'm digging a lot. Sorry, I'm going to share my screen. I'm stupid. Share. So if we go here, actually there is some unit tests already available. And based on the descriptions, like there is some global hook support. The other thing that I was trying to do is to have the client hook, so you can specify hook as a provider only. What I can do, and just to get this released, I can get rid of this client hook and then at least have the provider and a global hook. Because that way, most of the things, correct me if I'm wrong, can be reused,
Yeah, I think so. I think that makes sense. I had a quick question though. You showed the injecting the client on the request level, but I didn't see, I didn't see where you configured that. Are you doing that as like a factory? So is there a function basically running to return you a new client on those requests, or do you have like a singleton client that's being injected?
So it is a singleton client. Let me share here again. Sorry. Today will be pro-efficient in Zoom. So if you see here
Oh, I see.
See, I said this provider, flag B for the provider you can rename, and here is the options that then you can pass here. For example, if let me just stop here. If I go here, I can pass. Let's see where it is. I can pass here, for example, a URI. And then it will enter here in the flag the extension and use a correct. But by default, it will use that one. And basically the flag v is created here, and then it will try to replicate here. And this is the part that I'm still digging to try understand. It will try use this logic here to add the hooks and so on. So that's basically how it is, and it's using like git service as hook. So basically it's most of them I think are singletons. Yeah, of them are singletons. Yeah.
I think one of the things that would be interesting and useful would be to be able to configure a client as a singleton or not. Like the clients are pretty lightweight, and I could see that you definitely might want one per request in some cases. And then if you inject that, you could add hooks on that level. So you wouldn't even need to do hypothetically, it might not be so important that you didn't have like a way to add hooks to the client from a configuration perspective, because if you could invoke a factory as part of the DI, which I believe is possible in .NET, you could
Mhm.
probably generate a client in like a factory sort of way, so that every request or every thread at least would get a client, and then you could configure that client how you wanted it. They're pretty lightweight, so you can
So
change it as you want.
So for .NET, if you want, per request, basically here you say scripter is a scooped.
Right.
So every
Yeah.
time there is a new request, it will create a new instance of the flagging provider. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
I don't necessarily think you want a new instance of the provider, but I think you might want a new instance of the client.
Mhm. Okay. Okay, you are talking about, for as far as I understand,
Yeah.
around here. Yeah. Yeah,
So
but
I think we're kind of getting pretty specific into the .NET implementation now. So like
yes,
a
yes,
really
yes,
cool
yes. And
demo.
it's
Really
something that we
appreciate
can
it.
put, it's something that we can put in the PRs as well. It's easier.
Yeah, let's take a look there. But yeah, I really appreciate the demo. It's cool to see progress there. Yeah, definitely the DI stuff would be super handy in .NET.
Oh yeah. It's
So
even from what I see, like it's like the golden standard for any library to have dependency injection out of the box. Otherwise, developers like me will be like, ah, you know. So
yeah.
it's really good that we definitely have to get this out, especially to increase adoption and to show, okay, we are serious about this. Otherwise,
Yeah.
otherwise most .NET folks will look around. That's the reality.
Mhm.
Last question on this. This hosting package, when it was originally implemented, I think it was implemented in the contribs, right? So this isn't a part of the SDK right now. It's a contrib feature, or am I misremembering?
No, you are wrong. It's in the open feature itself.
Actual SDK?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's fine. I think that's fine anyway.
yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll look at the PR myself later, but yeah, thanks for the demo.
Yeah, especially because like these, because the nature of the VI, like you need to access bits that are internal only, and by that you already, you cannot use in a contrib place. So
Yeah. Well, perfect. Okay. And I guess this is a nice transition then. So Andre has actually, he's our first contributor, like a spotlight contributor. And so if you saw the message in the open feature channel, we're going to be doing like a live stream with him in a few hours. So yeah, congrats. That's pretty cool. Definitely appreciate all the work on .NET and just spec and everything else you've been helping with. And if you're interested in the stream, you can find it all in the Slack channel. Cool. We're basically through the list. So if anyone has any other items we'd like to discuss, please feel free to bring them up or add it to the list.
The only thing I wanted to mention is there's been a lot of back and forth on the tracking spec PR. A lot of really cool comments, and thanks Robert for putting your kind of end-to-end like metrics and querying stuff on there. That was really informative. I'm thankful for that, because that was honestly something I was gonna I was gonna demo out, and you basically did it. So that was cool to see. But take a look there, anyone who hasn't reviewed it in the last week, because I believe we're getting close to something we can merge, at least as experimental, unless anybody has any objections or anything.
Yeah, I want to set up release the whole code as open source, but I have to figure out the whole process, because there's some checklists like as a demo. But I think, like, especially if you have dynamic evaluation context, you have to somehow match those flag impressions to occurrences, right? And that I think is important, because with static evaluation context it's not as important, but with dynamic, right, there's this problem. So but thank you.
Yeah, if you get that out there, definitely I guess link it in our open feature channel. I'd be kind of curious to test it and also see maybe how it integrates with that OTel demo that we're playing with. 'Cause I think you had mentioned that we'd like to correlate some of those events as well with tracking events. using something like targeting key. So
Okay, so I'll do it this week. The whole setup instructions. And
perfect. All right, thank you. Cool. Anything else then? All right, sounds good. Well, thanks everyone. Thanks for the demos. It was cool to see all that. And yeah, have a nice day. Talk to you later.
Thanks, bye.
Bye.
See you.